The war fleet of the Zurakai Dominion translated into the Sol system with the confidence of apex predators entering a feeding ground. Supreme Commander Thaxis Voral stood on the bridge of the flagship Eternal Dominance, his chitinous plates reflecting the light of the distant yellow star. Before him stretched 300 warships, the largest invasion force the Dominion had assembled in 2 centuries. They had come to claim Earth, to subjugate or exterminate the upstart species that dared to exist without acknowledging Zurakai supremacy. Status report, Thaxis commanded, his voice carrying the harmonic authority of his rank. Translation successful, Commander, his tactical officer replied. All ships reporting nominal function. No resistance detected. Scanning for human defensive positions. And what do you find? Nothing, Commander. No battle stations. No military vessels in intercept positions. No signs of orbital defense platforms. It appears the humans are either unaware of our arrival or have abandoned defense entirely. Thaxis felt satisfaction ripple through his neural cluster. Intelligence reports had suggested humanity was technologically primitive, barely 2 centuries into space travel, with no faster-than-light capability, limited to their own star system. The conquest would be swift and glorious. Set course for the 3rd planet. Standard invasion formation. We will break their spirit before they even understand they are being invaded. The Armada began moving toward Earth, engines burning bright in the darkness. 3 billion kilometers away, in a classified facility beneath the Sahara Desert, Captain Liana Reeves watched the same scene unfold on her tactical display. Confirm count, she said calmly to her team. How many ships? 307 vessels, Captain, Lieutenant Kai Brennan reported from his station. Configuration matches Zurakai Dominion military standard. They have bypassed the Oort cloud sensors and are accelerating in system. Current projected trajectory? Direct path to Earth. No attempt at stealth or deception. They are broadcasting what our translation algorithms identify as demands for immediate surrender. Liana permitted herself a thin smile. How very considerate of them. And they are completely unaware of the grid? Completely, ma'am. All autonomous stations are in standby mode. No active emissions. From their perspective, the system appears defenseless. Good. Let them get closer. I want to see how far they will commit before they realize their error. Tactical Officer Maya Zhang spoke up from her console. Captain, should we not warn them? Give them a chance to withdraw? 300 ships represent thousands of lives. They came here to kill 7 billion humans, Liana said without emotion. They did not send a diplomatic envoy. They did not attempt communication. They came with warships and demands for surrender. So no, Lieutenant, we will not warn them. We will teach them a lesson that every species in this galaxy needs to learn: Earth is not defenseless. Earth is a trap. And they just walked into it. The Zurakai Armada crossed the orbit of Neptune. Still no resistance. No response at all from the primitive humans who should be panicking at the sight of 300 advanced warships bearing down on their homeworld. Commander, this is troubling, Sub-Commander Kraith said, his mandibles clicking with unease. The humans should be responding by now. Either with communication attempts or defensive mobilization. Yet we detect nothing. Perhaps they are simply paralyzed by fear, Thaxis suggested. Or perhaps they recognize the futility of resistance. Either way, our victory is assured. With respect, Commander, I have studied human history. They do not typically respond to threats with paralysis. They are known for aggressive and often irrational defensive behavior. This silence is anomalous. Then perhaps our intelligence reports were incorrect and they truly are as primitive as we were told. Continue the approach. The fleet passed Uranus. Then Saturn, with its magnificent rings, a sight that might have inspired poetry in a less militaristic culture. Still no human response. In the Sahara facility, Liana watched the alien fleet's progress with the detached interest of a scientist observing a lab experiment. They have passed the Saturn threshold, Brennan reported. Grid activation perimeter in 30 minutes at current velocity. Excellent. All systems check? Confirming now. Brendan's fingers danced across his console. Grid alpha through epsilon are green across all nodes. Jupiter station is nominal. Saturn station is nominal. All autonomous hunter-killers are in standby mode. All mass driver platforms are charged and ready. All directed energy arrays are aligned. Captain, we have complete weapons release authority. The grid is ready. And our observers? Are all international monitoring stations online? I want everyone to see this. All stations confirmed, ma'am. Representatives from 143 nations are watching. As are the Mars colonies and the Belt settlements. This will be humanity's most watched defensive engagement in history. Then let us make it memorable. The Zurakai fleet reached Jupiter. The gas giant loomed in their sensors, massive and indifferent to the warships passing through its gravity well. Still the humans remain silent. Still no defense is activated. Commander Thaxis allowed himself to relax slightly. Whatever apprehension had troubled him earlier was proving unfounded. The conquest would proceed as planned. Navigator, plot final approach vectors to the human homeworld. We will establish orbital superiority and begin. Commander. Contact. Multiple contacts. Hundreds of them. The bridge displays exploded with threat indicators. From seemingly empty space around them, objects were appearing, or rather, objects that had been there all along were suddenly becoming visible as they activated. What in the name of the progenitors? Autonomous weapons platforms, Commander. They were hidden in stealth mode. Thousands of them. They are all around us. And they were. The Zurakai had sailed into the heart of what humanity called the grid, a three-dimensional network of automated defense systems spread throughout the outer solar system. Platforms that had been built slowly over decades, positioned with care, equipped with weapons that represented humanity's absolute best military technology, and programmed with one directive: destroy anything that entered the system with hostile intent. Evasive maneuvers. All ships scatter. Point defense to maximum. But it was already too late. The grid had been designed by the finest military strategists humanity could produce, tested in simulations against every known alien military doctrine, and refined until it was perfect. It did not activate all at once that would allow some ships to escape. Instead, it activated in waves, herding the alien fleet like wolves driving prey. The first wave consisted of mass drivers, electromagnetic cannons that accelerated tungsten penetrators to significant fractions of light speed. No plasma containment to detect. No exotic energy signatures. Just solid metal moving at velocities that made evasion impossible at close range. The Zurakai ships had shields designed to deflect energy weapons and particle beams. They were not designed to stop solid projectiles moving at relativistic speeds. The first three ships were struck amidships. The kinetic energy transfer was catastrophic. Armor that could withstand plasma fire vaporized on impact. Hull structures that had survived combat in a dozen campaigns were torn apart like tissue paper. Entire vessels disintegrated in expanding clouds of debris. Return fire. All ships engage. The Zurakai fleet opened fire with everything they had. Plasma cannons, missile batteries, directed energy weapons. The combined firepower of 300 warships turned the space around Jupiter into a storm of destructive force. But they were shooting at ghosts. The grid platforms were small, mobile, and designed to be nearly impossible to target. They used the gravity of Jupiter and its moons to slingshot themselves into new positions. They deployed chaff and decoys. They coordinated their movements with the precision of a supercomputer orchestra. And they kept firing. Captain, the grid is performing at 112% of projected effectiveness, Brennan reported with barely contained excitement. Alien return fire is hitting less than 4% of platforms. Meanwhile, our hit rate is 91%. It is not a battle. It is a slaughter. Liana watched the tactical display with grim satisfaction. Red icons representing Zurakai ships were winking out at an alarming rate. What is their formation status? Completely broken, ma'am. They have abandoned all tactical coherence and are attempting individual evasive maneuvers. It is not helping. The grid is adapting faster than they can react. And their communications? Heavily encrypted, but we are getting fragments. They are panicking, Captain. They are trying to understand how a supposedly primitive species could have weapons systems this advanced. Some of them are calling for retreat. Will their commander authorize it? Unknown. But it may not matter. At current attrition rates, the fleet will be reduced to below 50% strength in the next 7 minutes. On the bridge of eternal dominance, Commander Thaxus faced the impossible reality that his invincible armada was being destroyed by an enemy he could barely see. Full retreat. All ships. Emergency faster than light jump. Abort the invasion. Commander, we cannot. The grid platforms have deployed field disruptors. They are preventing us from forming stable jump corridors. We are trapped. Then we fight. Concentrate fire on the largest clusters of enemy platforms. We must break through. But the grid had no largest clusters. It operated as a distributed network with no central point of failure. Destroying 100 platforms did nothing to diminish the effectiveness of the remaining thousands. Meanwhile, the Zurakai fleet was being torn apart. Liana received a communication from the International Observation Center. Captain Reeves, we are receiving multiple requests from various governments asking if we should offer the aliens a chance to surrender. On what terms? Liana asked. Unconditional. Complete disarmament. Transfer of all military technology. Submission to human authority for war crimes trials. Relay the offer. But continue engagement unless they explicitly accept. I will not risk human lives on the hope that they will surrender. The message was transmitted in every frequency and format that might be recognizable to the Zurakai. It was simple and direct: surrender immediately or be destroyed. These are your only options. Commander Thaxus received the message and felt something he had never experienced in 4 decades of military service: complete and total helplessness. His fleet was dying. 200 ships were already destroyed or disabled. The survivors were scattered and vulnerable. The humans had offered terms, but accepting them would mean permanent disgrace and likely execution for military failure. He made his decision. All remaining ships, form on my position. We will make one final push toward the human homeworld. If we are to die, we will die advancing, not retreating. It was a brave gesture. It was also tactically meaningless. The grid had been designed to counter exactly this kind of desperation move. As the Zurakai ships attempted to regroup, automated hunter-killer drones emerged from concealment. These were smaller than the weapons platforms but far more mobile. They swarmed the alien ships like angry hornets, attaching to hulls and detonating shaped charges that breached critical systems. Captain, the alien commander has rejected surrender, Brennan reported. They are attempting a final advance toward Earth. Current fleet strength? 89 ships remaining. All damaged to varying degrees. They will not reach Mars, let alone Earth. Continue engagement. No mercy for those who came here to commit genocide. The battle, if it could even be called that, continued for another 12 minutes. When it ended, the Zurakai invasion fleet no longer existed. 307 ships had entered the Sol system. None would leave. The wreckage drifted in orbit around Jupiter, a monument to the fatal error of underestimating humanity. In the Sahara facility, Liana addressed the international observers. The threat has been neutralized. All hostile vessels have been destroyed. Earth is secure. The grid performed flawlessly, with minimal resource expenditure. Total human casualties, 0. I am pleased to report that our defensive posture remains completely intact. Any future attackers will face the same response. There was silence on the communication channel. Then someone asked the question that everyone was thinking. Captain, how long has the grid been operational? How long have we had this capability? The grid was conceived 87 years ago, shortly after we detected our first signs of potentially hostile alien civilizations. Construction began 74 years ago and reached minimum operational capacity 41 years ago. It has been silently improving and expanding ever since. Every nation on Earth contributed resources. Every spacefaring colony helped position assets. We built it in secret because we wanted any potential enemies to think we were weak. To think we were vulnerable. To come close enough that we could destroy them completely. But why keep it secret from our own people? Because fear is useful. As long as humanity believed we were defenseless, we invested in defense. We cooperated across borders. We prioritized survival over petty conflicts. The grid was not just a military project. It was a social engineering project designed to keep humanity united against external threats. And now the secret is out. Now every species in this galaxy knows that Earth is protected by weapons systems they did not expect and cannot counter. Now we have sent a message that will echo across the stars: humanity is not prey. We are not victims. We are not defenseless. We are the ones you should fear. The communication ended. Liana sat back in her chair, feeling the weight of what had just occurred. Captain, we are receiving a priority communication from the Mars colonies, Brennan said. They are reporting that debris from the battle has been detected entering Martian orbit. No danger to the settlements, but they are asking for cleanup authorization. Granted. And Brennan, compile a full after-action report. I want every decision, every system activation, every round fired documented. This will be studied for generations. Yes, ma'am. Captain, may I say something? Go ahead. That was the most one-sided engagement in human military history. We suffered no losses. No injuries. No damage to any grid systems. The aliens never even got close enough to Earth to see it with their own eyes. It was not even a fight. It was an execution. Yes, Liana agreed quietly. That was the point. We did not build the grid to have fair fights. We built it to win. Completely. Decisively. So thoroughly that no one would dare try again. Do you think it will work? Do you think this will actually deter future attacks? I think it will deter some. Others will see it as a challenge. But now when they come, they will come prepared. They will bring more ships. Better weapons. Clever tactics. And we will be waiting for them, because the grid is just the beginning. We have weapons they have not seen yet. Capabilities we have not revealed. And most importantly, we have something they do not. What is that, ma'am? We have 7 billion humans who just watched their planet get defended by a system so effective that not a single enemy ship reached anywhere near Earth. 7 billion humans who now know for certain that we can protect ourselves. 7 billion humans who will support even greater investment in defense. The grid cost us 40 years of resources and effort. What do you think we can build with 60 years? 80 years? Brennan was quiet for a moment. We could build something unstoppable. Exactly. And we will. Because that is what humans do when faced with existential threats. We do not hope for mercy. We do not pray for salvation. We build walls. We forge swords. We create systems that turn our enemies into cautionary tales. She stood and looked at the tactical display, now showing the debris field where an armada had been. The Zurakai Dominion sent 300 ships to conquer us. We sent them a message written in twisted metal and destroyed dreams. Let the galaxy read it well. 3 weeks later, fragments of the battle reached the nearest Zurakai colonies. Scout ships arrived in the Sol system and found only wreckage and automated warnings in multiple languages. This system is under the protection of the Terran Defense Grid. Any unauthorized entry will be met with immediate and overwhelming force. Diplomatic contact may be established through designated channels. Military intrusion will be answered with destruction. The Dominion had lost not just a fleet, but 300 irreplaceable warships and over 70,000 trained personnel. The economic cost was staggering. The political cost was worse. The military leadership that had authorized the invasion was removed from power. The new leaders sent a formal communication to Earth. The Zurakai Dominion acknowledges the sovereignty of the Terran system. We apologize for the unauthorized military action taken by rogue elements of our government. We seek peace and wish to open diplomatic relations. Liana was present when the diplomatic corps crafted the response. It was simple and direct. Your apology is noted but not accepted. Your invasion was not conducted by rogue elements. It was authorized by your legitimate government and represented a conscious choice to commit genocide. However, we acknowledge that your current leadership did not make that choice. Therefore, we offer these terms. The Zurakai Dominion will provide full reparations for the cost of ammunition and grid system maintenance used in destroying your fleet. You will share all military intelligence regarding other potentially hostile species. You will establish an embassy on Earth and accept a human embassy in your capital. And you will never, under any circumstances, enter the Sol system with military vessels again. If you violate that final term, we will respond by destroying not your fleet, but your shipyards. We will not destroy your civilization, but we will ensure you can never threaten us again. Do you accept these terms? The Zurakai accepted. Over the following years, word of what happened in the Sol system spread throughout the galaxy. Species that had been considering humanity as potential conquest targets revised their assessments. Diplomatic overtures increased. Trade agreements were negotiated. Military alliances were discussed. And through it all, the grid continued to expand. New platforms were added. New technologies were integrated. New defensive capabilities were developed and deployed. 5 years after the battle, Liana stood in the same facility beneath the Sahara, now promoted to admiral and serving as the overall commander of Terran system defense. A young officer approached her with a report. Admiral, we have detected a fleet entering the system. 27 ships. Configuration matches the Keltheran Collective. Are they broadcasting hostile intent? Negative, ma'am. They are transmitting on all diplomatic frequencies. They claim to be a trade delegation seeking to establish commercial relations. They are requesting permission to proceed to Earth. Liana studied the report. And your assessment? Their story is consistent with their known diplomatic practices. All ships are configured for commercial use, not military action. I believe they are genuine. Very well. Grant them authorization to approach Earth. But keep grid targeting solutions updated just in case. And make sure they know we are watching. Yes, ma'am. Admiral, may I ask a question? Go ahead. Do you think we will ever have to use the grid at full capacity again? Like we did against the Zurakai? Liana considered this. I hope not. The best weapon is the one you never have to use because everyone knows you have it. But if we do have to use it again, I guarantee one thing. What is that? It will work even better the second time. Because we learn. We adapt. We improve. And we never forget that the price of freedom is eternal vigilance and overwhelming firepower. She turned back to the displays showing the peaceful approach of the trade delegation. The Zurakai thought we were weak because we were young. They thought our system was undefended because they could not see our defenses. They learned differently. Every species in this galaxy will eventually learn the same lesson: Earth is not a target. Earth is a fortress. And we are the ones standing on the walls. The officer saluted and returned to his station. Liana remained, watching the dots on the screen representing ships carrying beings from distant stars. Some came as friends. Some came as traitors. Some would eventually come as enemies. But they would all leave with the same understanding: humanity had claimed its place among the stars not through conquest or aggression, but through the simple demonstration that we could not be conquered, could not be intimidated, and would not yield our home to any threat. The grid had been built in secret, activated in necessity, and proven in blood, though not one drop of it had been human. That was the message. That was the warning. That was the promise. Earth was defended. Earth was strong. Earth was ready. And any armada foolish enough to test that readiness would discover what the Zirakai had learned: you do not survive long enough to reach Earth if you come with hostile intent. You are destroyed before you reach Mars. That was the rule of the Sol system. That was the law of the grid. That was the guarantee that let 7 billion humans sleep safely at night while the stars watched overhead. We built a fortress that could not be seen until it was too late. We created weapons that turned invasion fleets into debris fields. We established a defense so complete that the word Earth became synonymous with suicide mission in the military academies of a dozen hostile species. We did not do it for glory. We did not do it for conquest. We did it for one simple reason: because our children deserved to grow up under skies that no enemy could threaten. And because if you want peace, you prepare for war. If you want safety, you build walls. If you want to be left alone, you make sure that attacking you is too costly to consider. The Zirakai learned that lesson at the cost of 300 ships. The galaxy learned it by watching. And humanity learned the most important lesson of all: we are capable of extraordinary things when our survival depends on it. We can cooperate across nations and cultures. We can build systems that take decades to complete. We can keep secrets that span generations. We can create defenses that turn certain defeat into overwhelming victory. All because we decided, 87 years before the battle, that we would not be victims. That we would not wait for someone else to save us. That we would save ourselves, with our own hands, our own minds, our own determination. The grid was more than a weapons system. It was a statement of intent. It was a promise to ourselves and a warning to anyone who might threaten us. And it had delivered on both. If you enjoyed the story, like the video and subscribe for more. Thank you.